Hello everyone! Welcome back once again to Ecom channel, and I am Teacher Claire, and my channel offers visual lessons for students and some more educational contents. If it's your first time here, I would so love to have you with me in my YouTube journey. So please click the subscribe button, like and share this video, and also click on the bell icon so you get updated on my next lesson. And of course, today I'm going to talk about the types of communication models. As you can see right in front of me, I have my laptop because I have already prepared a presentation in conjunction with that topic. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So here are the major types of communication models, which are linear, interactive, and transactional model. Just a review as well as to emphasize, always remember that communication is a process of exchanging information to create shared understanding or meaning. Talking about the linear model of communication, it looks as simple as this one with the three major elements of communication, which are the sender, the message, and the receiver. Moreover, in this model, we also have the channel and the noise barrier. Here, communication starts when the sender encodes the message. Ibig sabihin, binubuo ni sender ang mensahe gamit ang medium tulad ng language or words o pwede din na through symbols, actions, and gestures. Then, it will be transmitted via channel like cell phone, email, laptop, or even face-to-face para maipadala ang message sa receiver nito. Kapag dumating na o na-receive na ang message, the receiver then would decode it, which means the receiver would interpret and try to understand the meaning of the message received. Example: since the new normal has forced us to use the messenger platform as one among the means of classroom learning settings, most of the classroom activities are conducted via that online platform. Halimbawa, si teacher ay nag-send ng classroom announcement or reminder via voice record feature of the messenger. Kapag napakinggan na ng klase ang voice recorded message, tapos na ang communication process. Not unless mag-require si teacher ng response mula sa mga mag-aaral. Pero sa nabanggit na halimbawa, ito ay simpleng class reminder. Therefore, no feedback is needed. Further, in this model, the sending and the decoding of the message may be affected by the noise, which we know is a barrier in the communication process. There may be an instance that the message would not be clearly understood by the receivers, who are the students. It could be because the message was recorded in a place with so much noise in the background. Check this out. Noise does not solely mean the background noise or external noise as one speaks or talks, like when there are noisy people in the background, or someone that interrupts one while talking, or even the light that turns on and off while the communication process is going on. Maaari din itong psychological noise, kung saan hindi ka makapag-concentrate sa kausap mo at di mo siya maunawaan dahil may iba kang iniisip or gumugulo sa iyong isip habang nakikipag-usap ka. Or pwede ding physiological. Baka pagod ka kaya di mo magawang maintindihan pa ang sinasabi ng iyong kausap dahil ang hanap ng iyong katawan ay pahinga. Ilan lamang ito sa mga halimbawa ng communication noises that serve as barriers in creating shared understanding in the communication process. Now, take into consideration that in the linear model of communication, there is no feedback. It assumes na may simula at katapusan ang communication process. Natatapos ang proseso kapag na-receive na ni receiver ang mensahe. Hindi kailangan ang response mula sa receiver. Thus, this denotes that the communication is a one-way process na ikinukumpara nga halimbawa sa isang oil pipeline kung saan dumaraan ang oil sa entry point patungo sa kabilang dulo ng pipeline. So, it is also sometimes considered as the pipeline model of communication. Other examples are listening to music or radio, watching a lecture in YouTube, reading a letter or emails, checking text messages or social media notifications. Now, here is the interactive model of communication that existed because scholars believed that the linear model of communication are missing key elements in the process. Does it differ from the linear? Absolutely yes. Was there element that had been added? Certainly there is. In this model, we have the feedback. Watch this situational example. That example shows that communication is a two-way process because the receiver provides a feedback, unlike in the linear model where communication ends after the receiver received the message. Dito sa model na ito, ang receiver ay nagiging sender of the message as he or she responds to the received message at si sender naman eventually ay gaganap sa role bilang receiver. So there is what we call an alternate shift of communication roles in the process. And communication symbols or the non-verbal signals also play significant part in the communication situation in this model. Other examples of which are our daily chat or conversation with friends, the Q&A class sessions, and when you respond to a text message or a message you received in your social media account. The last one is the transactional communication model, which is similar to interactive model as both of them are two-way process of communication. The difference between the two is that in transactional model, we do consider the context of the communication process and the field of experience of the communicators who are the sender and the receiver. This model is more interactive in nature. Sa model na ito, the two major elements of communication who are the sender and the receiver simultaneously portray the two roles. Pero silang sender at receiver at the same time. Paano nangyari yon? It's because in this model, non-verbal signals and symbols of communication play vital roles in the process. Sa communication situation, both the sender and the receiver may give verbal and non-verbal signals in the process. Pwedeng habang nagsasalita si sender, si receiver ay nagpapakita ng non-verbal cues like gestures and facial expressions connected to what the sender is saying. Meaning, here in this model, feedback is immediate and instant. It is emphasized too that in this model, the context of the communication situation is very important. Kapag sinabi nating context, ang tinutukoy natin ay yung kung saan nagaganap ang communication process. Sa bahay ba? Through the social media? Sa klase o paaralan? Sa trabaho at iba pa. There are elements of the communication context that affect the behavior and attitude of the communicators, some of which are oras kung kailan nagaganap ang communication situation, lugar, the relationship between and among the communicators, at dami ng taong involved sa communication situation. Moreover, the context contains rules and norms that regulate how people communicate. Ibig sabihin, binabase natin sa rules and norms o pamantayan ng lipunan na ating ginagalawan ang pamamaraan natin ng pakikipagkomunikasyon. Halimbawa, kapag tayo ay nasa loob ng school library noong may face-to-face pa, hindi tayo nakikipag-usap ng malakas or iniiwasan nating talaga ang makipag-usap sa loob nito, simply because it is a set rule that we keep quiet inside the library. Another is we tend to shout and cheer whenever we watch our favorite sports game. Most of us jump and dance while a rock music plays in a concert. Meanwhile, we listen quietly when someone plays a classical music using piano. So these are just some of the examples. Remember then that communication context affects the way we communicate and that we have different set of norms and rules we follow in a given context. Iba-iba ang kulturang meron tayo at kailangan din natin itong ikonsidera as we talk, especially with people who have different culture than us. This is how the transactional differ from interactive, which focuses on simply exchanging of ideas and information. Further, in the transactional model, field of experience is of great importance as well. Ito ay tumutukoy naman sa pamamaraan ng pagproseso ni sender ng mensahe at paraan ng pag-unawa ni receiver sa impormasyon na natanggap. Field of experience specifically refers to knowledge, experience, social behavior, and one's culture which affect the communication situation. Example, collaborative activity or class groupings. Let's say creating a 5-minute video presentation about functions of communication. Sa sitwasyon na ito, communication is complex and definitely transactional. Dahil ang bawat member ng grupo ay magbibigay ng kani-kanilang kaalaman batay sa binubuong proyekto. Hindi lamang kayo simpleng magkukwentuhan ng tungkol sa mga bagay-bagay na meron kayo bilang mag-aaral. Gagamitin ninyo ang inyong natutunan sa klase at pag-uusapan nyo kung paano itong i-apply upang mabuo ninyo ang group project na ini-assign ng guro sa klase. Maaari din ninyong gamitin ang inyong mga naging karanasan na may kaugnayan sa iba't ibang functions ng communication na sentro ng 5-minute video presentation na inyong bubuuin. Thus is an example of transactional communication highlighting the essence of knowledge, experience, culture, and social behavior. In transactional model, communication is integrated in our social reality. We give feedback according to our social norms. Remember that feedback is the response we give to the sender of the message. Kapag tayo ay nasa communication situation, paano mo nga ba malalaman kung naiintindihan o sumasang-ayon sa sinasabi mo ang iyong kausap? We pay attention to their feedback, which could both be verbal or non-verbal. At ayon sa feedback na matatanggap natin, we could change our message to make it more understandable kung sa tingin natin ay hindi ito masyadong naunawaan ng ating kausap. Ganun kahalaga ang feedback, lalo na sa transactional model of communication. Now, watch how the transactional model of communication is illustrated. First of all, bear in mind that here in this model, both the source and the receiver of the message portray simultaneously the sender and the receiver roles. Meaning, sabay nila itong ginagampanan habang nasa communication situation. Dahil dito sa model na ito, instant and immediate ang response or feedback. Further, just like the other models, the message is sent through a channel of which still may be affected by the noise. As mentioned earlier, mahalaga ang field of experience, both ng sender and receiver. The message being transmitted, encoded, and decoded by the communicators in this model is actually not sent alternately, like in the interactive model, but simultaneously, dahil nga sa we consider the nonverbal response of the receiver here as a message sent at the same moment the sender gives information. Being said, the feedback is cyclical. It continuously existed while the communication situation is happening. Now here are the examples of this model. Interactive class grouping where everyone shares ideas, planning session for a business proposal or a business meeting, and training session requiring participation to collaborative activities. This time, I'd like you to look at these different kinds of communication models according to the three major types.